live now. Actually, no, I guess that's when you're done.
Chopper things.
You want any fingers, your fingers all from.
No, there's something on them. I don't know if it's overspray from something, but
Less?
Less reported cases.
I'll start warming up pretty soon outside. A little bit, keep it over.
all right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start out with welcome all the guests. Move on to approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by Mark. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand? 6-0. Open forum, nobody signed. We'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda, which is approve the regular open session minutes and approve the subs.
I did notice some of this was increased a little bit.
We're excited.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Dennis,
One second.
second by Lori. Further discussion? All in favor, right hand? 6-0. Approval and transfer and payment of bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Motion by Naomi,
Second.
second by Mark. Further discussion? Did you have any questions? No questions? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Reports, Ms. Kingsley.
Good evening. Enrollment up just a little bit, what one, we actually have had a couple of calls lately though, so I think that number's gonna go up. I don't know if we'll lose some, but we've had several calls lately that Teresa keeps coming back and saying, we have another fifth grader, we have another third grader, so something interesting going on there, but launch, we have 2 students now that are in the launch virtual learning program. One of the big pieces for January was just in our building, gratitude, just being grateful for things as we really think about mental health and what a toll some of the pandemic and the experiences our teachers are going through have had on them and what they're going through. So we always talk about celebrations at our grade level meeting, but we also kind of rolled out the idea of just being grateful and thinking about things that we're just really happy are going on. And throughout the building, during grade level meetings, it was just a grateful feeling that we're here, that we're in person, how much we appreciate the fact that we're here and in person and learning. And so many schools aren't, and so many people, the teachers are involved in a lot of online teacher groups and so forth. And so they just realize that so many other schools are going through things that are so different than what they're getting to go through. And so we are very, very grateful for where we are. First grade is really digging deep into phonics program in the Journeys reading series. So really looking deep at that. That was a celebration that they shared, is that they're excited about that. They also implemented a standardized grade card this year, and they're getting some positive feedback from parents, because parents are getting more specific feedback about how their kids are progressing in first grade. Second grade is excited about the Chromebooks. That's been the theme of second through sixth grade, because the Chromebooks came in and now we have them for everybody throughout second through sixth grade. Third grade really mentioned about Title I and how much it's helped the work that they're doing with this grant with Title I, and they have their Chromebooks. Fourth grade said they're just feeling very organized and ready for a great second half of the year. Fifth and sixth pointed out that the kids seem calm, they're settled, they're ready to learn, and they just feel like it's going to be a great semester. And all of them, like I said, are just thrilled to have their own set of Chromebooks in their classrooms. For reading, we're going to look a little closer at the science of reading and what this means for next year. So our PD day in February is going to bring in Dr. Brown, where the teachers are going to get a chance to really ask this reading expert a little bit more about this and get a better idea of what this could mean for our building. There is a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum for what they've been learning, and so I'm anticipating a really great day with her. Title team is currently doing their DIBELS testing, which is the middle of the year reading benchmark. So we'll get some feedback on how the kids are progressing and get some data meetings together and really analyze that and see what we need to do to really give those kids that push to get them up where they need to be if they are not already. Our K-1, kindergarten, first grade, are really looking at any kids at this point in the year that they feel like could be a retention candidate, because we really don't want to retain kids. What we want to do is identify those kids that are that far behind right now that we're concerned to that level, and then get a team together, really talk about what kind of interventions and support we can put in place for those kids, and also let their parents kind of know where they stand and what's going on, so that we're not having that conversation in March or April or May. We're doing it now, so we can put everything into making sure those kids get where they need to go. Math, we are still developing our units. That'll be an ongoing process, but right now we also have a big conversation we're going to need to have in the building, and we've been kind of exploring this a little bit this year, but we're going to get a committee together and really dig in a little deeper. Our series that we currently have, Go Math, is no longer being produced after this year. So we've got to make some decisions. Are we going to go a little more standards-based with the units that they're developing? Do we want to look at a series? And so we're kind of getting a committee together to make some good decisions about, the direction we need to go there. In our grade level meetings, we're going to shift our gears a little bit more to analyzing our evaluate data and making sure that those kids are where they need to be, and we're putting all the supports in place that we can to help them be successful. I did put in some evaluate data that I had at the time. I know there's a few kids that hadn't taken the test yet at this point, but 70% or more of our kids had finished the evaluate test. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of data on how they were doing, and we just had a lot of growth. Fifth and sixth grade, I just want to point out the overall average of the class is at proficient now. And so that's something to be very pleased with and proud of. And then we're making big gains. Second grade made huge gains in math and in ELA this last evaluate test. So big things are happening there, and we are definitely pleased with the progress that we're seeing right now. Our principals committee met on our first day back here in January, and we talked a little bit about grading practices and homework practices, and so that was a conversation that the team really wanted to talk about. With homework, we then followed up that we really talked about in grade level meetings and what we really want homework to look like and what research tells us homework should look like in the elementary, because it's a little different in elementary than in high school. We want to make sure we're not burning kids out. We want to make sure we create excitement for learning, and that any homework that kids are doing is really practice for whatever's going on in the classroom. It isn't just busy work or taking away from the family time at night. So research kind of tells us that in kindergarten, first grade, we really shouldn't have more than 2 minutes of homework at night. in second grade no more than 20, in third grade through sixth grade really shouldn't have more than 30 minutes. So the whole building is really in agreement that they would like to have that in the handbook next year and say this is kind of how we do business, and that homework is really focused on very specific pieces of learning, but isn't just a night full of a bunch of work that is maybe not really speaking to their growth. So, that was good conversation and really driven by the whole building in that decision. Behavior committee continues to meet and work on the matrix. They started, that's a school-wide set of behaviors that we want to see from our students, so behavioral expectations. They started reviewing those with students when we came back from break, and so just having more conversations with kids about behavior and what's expected of them. Even though we don't have bad behavior in any way in the building, it's just good to always be reminding kids what we do expect of them and how they need to behave when they're in different settings throughout the building. Our technology team, like I said, Chromebooks arrived, and the whole building was a buzz with the excitement of the Chromebooks getting here. So our technology team is working hard to put together some just really good breakout sessions for the teachers on our February in-service day. The mobile dental unit was here last week. Our nurse, Lisa Walsh, coordinated that. I know lots of kids were seeing that day. They provided fluoride for the students' teeth, and then they gave some feedback to parents as whether or not they need to maybe see a dentist or how things are going with their teeth. So that was a great service. And then I just want to extend a huge thank you to you guys. The school board appreciation, and we appreciate you. The whole elementary building wanted to. They left their signatures up there for you and a little token on your table. So just thank you for your commitment to our school and your support, and we appreciate you. So thank you. A couple of upcoming events down at the bottom. If you guys have any questions?
You think you're caught back up from last year's shutdown, you think?
I think that we're seeing a lot of struggle in our first and second grade. I think when you lose that fourth quarter of kindergarten and you lose that fourth quarter of first grade, we're really finding it's very difficult getting those kids caught up. I think our older elementary kids are catching up more. So I think fifth and sixth are really looking good. But kindergarten, we really had a big conversation in first grade today, just about how different our first graders are right now than the typical first grade class. That there's so much momentum in kindergarten and so much learning that takes place fourth quarter of kindergarten that is really difficult to make up that. But we're doing it, and our Title I teachers are working really hard. We had a new hire with a para educator that joined our staff who has a little bit of time in her schedule, and we pulled her in to help with some of our first grade math students. So trying to get some extra practice in for them. So we have our work cut out for us at the lower elementary level, but we also have time with lower elementary. We have a lot of things in place. Our Title I staff's working really hard. We're analyzing data and looking really closely at interventions. So I'm confident over time we're going to get them caught up, but it's not as quick as we hope. So we'll just keep plugging away. Again, encouraging to see in our data that our fifth and sixth are really doing well. So, luckily, like I said, we have a little time. We'll just keep plugging away at those guys with those foundational skills. But thank you for that. I appreciate that.
What grade do you high schools?
You would ask that. I can't think. I kind of want to say second and third, but I'd have to check on that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
That's what I want to say too. And one has been in virtual all year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, I want to say.
Because I think our kindergarten kids came back.
They did.
So they're back
Those are the
in.
ones that are off.
I want to say second, third, but I'd have to get back to you on that one. But yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nope.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Middle school, high school, Mr. Feivel.
Good evening. Start right into enrollment. We have dropped 2 students since last board meeting. Currently, right now, we have 8 students in virtual learning. There are 6 that are in high school and then 2 in the middle school that are full-time virtual for this semester. We had 9 to start, and we had 1 that decided she didn't want to do it and decided to come back to in-person this semester, so I was glad to see her back. Discipline, 11 total referrals from mid-December till mid-January. It's pretty well staying consistent with that time period. Vids, teachers continue to work on the curriculum with focus on common formative assessments. When we came back in January, on January 4th, I believe, that's when we came back. Teachers met individually and with their teams. to go over the common performance assessment, bounce ideas off each other. They also have Myra Collins, who has been our liaison, if you will, throughout this whole process as they're writing the performance assessments to bounce ideas off of her. She's coming back down on February 8th, planning on meeting with her in the morning on the 8th during that PD day. Teachers will get some one-on-one time with her as well in small groups. Superintendent Advisory Committee met on January 4th as well. And then upcoming here on the 26th, I've been working with Lisa to have a St. George night here for the students that are interested in coming over to Lynn High School next year as freshmen. Just a orientation type night. This is a little bit different than what we'll do later on for our Lynn students. We'll bring our Lynn students over and sing on a night later on this year. This is just a little bit earlier because of enrollment with other schools that they may be looking to go at. So I want to give them the opportunity to come over and see what programs, see the facilities, things like that before parents have to make any decisions. First semester honor roll, we had 13 students in 7th grade, 15 in 8th, 6 in 9th, 18 in 10th, 20 in 11th, and 12 in 12th grade. They were all on an A honor roll, 3.67 GPA or higher. In our B honor roll, we had 16 students in 7th grade, 19 students in 8th grade, 17 students in 9th grade, 15 in 10th, 18 in 11th grade, and 35 in 12th grade. So they were on the B honor roll. Those are students who had a 3.3 GPA, no grade lower than a C. So the senior class, I'm just going to point them out alone. They had 47 out of their 64 students that were named to one of the 2 honor rolls. So that's a pretty impressive feat for just the senior class alone there. Plays here tonight, so I'll let him take over that part. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you.
All right, so for athletics, next big event we have is homecoming here this Friday against New Bloomfield. We're going to recognize the 2001 third place state 1A girls cross country team, the 2011 second place boys golf team, and the 2011 state champions class 1 cross country teams. And that will be at halftime of the varsity boys game. And then between JV and varsity, we'll have the homecoming coronation, and then our chamber choir will sing the national anthem before the varsity game. Just some updated things. The boys basketball team is 10-3 right now. The last state rankings that came out, we were actually ranked 10th in class 3, which I thought was kind of cool. We took first place in our tournament, and we had Alec Peters was the MVP of the tournament. Kayla Mawson and Andy Houston were all tournament team as well. And on the girls' side, they're currently 8-5. They were winning over there when I left, so hopefully they are still currently. They took second place in the women's invitational, and then they had a shot on Costa to make the alternative team for the women's tournament. So things are going pretty well for both teams. That's all we'll get. Anybody got any questions?
All right, Superintendent, Ms. Smith?
You have my report, of course, in your folder as well. Again, that we are continuing in that scholarship time. Mrs. Wolf has a number of scholarships in the bulletin, and kids can take advantage of filling those out. We also are currently trying with OCACAT, and I know Mark's on that committee too, to schedule a virtual, normally the 7th and 8th grade students get to have an event where I think they go to State Tech, it's normally where they go for I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
One is called COPE and the other
Yes.
is called Team.
Thank you.
It's like they have breakout sessions and
Right.
a speaker and
And so since that likely is not going to happen this year, we're hoping to be able to provide a virtual event for them. I know that I've been in contact with Charlotte recently, and we're trying to she saw someone who goes by Tall Cop is who he is, and he does parent events too. So what we're trying to do is work to see if we can get a virtual student event and also a virtual parent event. So we'll kind of keep you updated on that, but that's where we are right now with trying to get that accomplished. And of course, everything's pretty much, we're having to do virtually now, so. I do want to thank Mid-America Bank and Legends Bank for sponsoring our hospitality room at the Land Invitational Tournament this year. We greatly appreciate that. Mrs. Flax and Mrs. Broden's first grade classes right before Christmas performed their Twas the Night Before Christmas. The Chamber Choir performed on December 11th at Christmas on Main Street. And again, homecoming is upcoming as well. Teachers are continuing to work on their PD goals, and as Mr. Bible mentioned, we had a Superintendent's Advisory Committee meeting on January 4th, and to kind of piggyback off of what Mrs. Kingsley said, really the overall theme of the whole meeting was how grateful they are that we're here, how grateful they are that we put things in place that allow them to be here and allow the kids to be here, and that they're not having to do virtual. And it really, the pandemic has been so stressful on everyone, kids and teachers alike, that it was just so nice to hear them say how grateful they are to be here, how grateful they are that the kids are here. It was just a really, really good positive meeting. We did have a calendar committee meeting last week, and only 2 people came. And so I thought, well, okay, then everybody must be okay with the calendar. But just to be on the safe side, I sent something out again. I had sent something out previously, but I sent an email out again and said, if you have feedback or you have input that you would like to provide, please let me know. And everything I got was very positive. There wasn't anything anybody wanted to see different. So overall, I think everyone's pretty satisfied with the draft calendar as it is right now. I know Mrs. Kingsley is ready to begin the process of interviewing for her kindergarten opening. Her poor life kind of took a detour last week, so she's going to be getting back to that. We have started budget development for the 21-22 school year. I hope to know insurance rates within the next couple of weeks. We have an insurance meeting coming up. As you well know, those tend to go up every year, so I don't expect this year to be any different, but I keep hoping. And then depending on what happens with insurance, then of course we'll drive what we're able to do with salaries and whatnot as well. Custodial staff did some deep cleaning over the holiday break, and we're thankful for that. I was supposed to have met last week with representatives from Porter, Berenzin and Associates out of Columbia. They ended up canceling that meeting, so I'm meeting with them this Friday. And what they are is they're an architectural firm that is going to come in and tell me what they can do in terms of, so Chamoy is working with them right now. And what they will do is they will come in and do a complete facilities walkthrough with you, including the exterior, and then write up a report that says these are the areas that we see that you need to do some work, essentially. And then they also, if we want them to, will work with us on developing a long-term facilities plan so that we can know by this time we would like to have these projects done. By this time we would like to have these projects done. And then we can start prioritizing those projects too, based on when we would be eligible for another no tax increase bond issue. We have some pretty big projects that need to be done. I know the high school needs a new roof, the track needs to be redone. We want to air condition the field house. So there's some pretty high dollar items on there. And if we wait to do all of those out of our own capital projects, we're looking several years out before we can afford to do all of those. So I think it would just be helpful for us to kind of get an idea of what all needs to be done. We've all discussed what needs to be done, but I don't know if the electrical system somewhere needs work or not. So those are some things they can come in and do for us and then help us with potentially some long-term planning. Because what my ultimate goal is to develop a long-range facilities plan that we just revisit every year to see how much progress we're making, and then to see, is that still our priority? Something may happen and we may have to shift priorities, but we at least have a plan and a goal to work towards. So they're going to come in and talk to me this Friday just about what is involved in all of that and what the cost would be. They're not actually doing the facilities walkthrough this Friday. It's just our preliminary discussion. So I'll keep you updated on that as well. And then just one more thing, February 5th, the Athletic Booster Club is hosting a coaches appreciation game and wanted me to extend an invitation to all of you. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to discussion action items, the foster care program evaluation.
The goal of our school and part of my role is just to make sure that we remove any educational barriers that might come up for any foster care students. So there's just, a list of things, responsibilities and so forth of our school, things like making sure that there's no delay in enrolling a student who's in foster care. Making sure that, they're receiving free meals and coordinate local transportation, that they're attending school regularly, those kinds of things. One of the things is when a child goes into out-of-home care, if they leave our district but they were attending school here, if at all possible, if they decide that would be in the best interest for them to be in school here, then we would want to keep them. So try not to disrupt their education is a big part of this. And we work, closely with child welfare agencies, and like I said, just doing whatever's best for the child and whatever we can do to support their educational goals. That's pretty much it. We have 5 students here at Osage County with that are in foster care. 3 of them are in the elementary and 2 of them are in the high school right now. So, any questions there or anything you wanted to add on that? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. The 21-22 calendar related discussion.
In your folder, you have the draft calendar that I referred to earlier, so I wanted you to have the opportunity to look at that, offer any input, suggestions, thoughts. We typically will put that in the folder for February to approve next year's calendar. The other thing that's in your folder are the child care survey results. I don't know if you've all had a chance to look at those or not. We had 8 families who said that they did not have adequate child care on Mondays, and 8 families who indicated if child care was provided at school, they would use it sometimes. So, but 8 who said that they did not have adequate child care. Of those 8, 6 of them said, yes, they would use services at school if a fee was charged, and 2 of them didn't respond to that question. So I don't know kind of where you want to head with that. That's kind of where I wanted to get your input.
These are the surveys that came home the backpacks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of those, somewhere, I think it's at the very end that I put, we actually had 64 families who did not return a survey, but of those, we know where 52 of the families go on Mondays. And so, and it is an adequate child care. It is adequate child care. So there's really only, 12 families total that we didn't get some type of feedback on, which was really pretty good. At the top, I think I put it was 18 students, but it's 13. So there are about 13 kids whose families said they don't have adequate child care. So, and again, that's about 8, that is 8 families. I kind of need to know thoughts on that. I know we had talked about providing child care. Knowing that there are only 8 families, I feel like we could compile a list and help pair them up with child care providers or students who are willing to provide child care or parents that are willing to provide child care. And we would be more than happy to facilitate that list. I just need to know where you guys kind of are thinking and want to head with that.
I think that's a good idea to either, ask some high school kids that are interested in a job, that would be a job, or even, paras or whomever, or give them a list of child care providers around. If you're new to the community, you may not know just everybody. Some people aren't licensed and wouldn't be listed. So
Right.
that, just watch a few kids.
Was Shannon Wolf gonna look into the plus kids doing some of that?
In order for them, the answer to that is yes. So she is going to look into them. The thing with A+ is they can't get paid for it, so.
Sure.
But she is going, they would be some of the ones on our list.
Okay.
We would try to set families up with. And again, I don't even mind, we could even help make that contact for the
Right.
first contact to say,
So would you do it away from here, or would it be somewhere designated here? Maybe like for the A+ students?
the only thing that is if it were here, we would have to have that extra adult supervision on our facilities. And that's not to say that couldn't happen. I think it will kind of depend on what we get when we see who wants to do it. But we can begin facilitating that list towards the end of the year and then over the summer so that we have it ready to go by August 1st and start hooking those families up with maybe who they would need or who they might want to make contact with. Because we also know who those 8 families are. So it's really easy to pick up the phone and say, hey, you still need childcare for Mondays? If so, we have some people.
So if the A+ kids did it, it wouldn't have to necessarily be here, but it still would count towards your A+.
It would, yeah. They just can't be paid for it and it can't be family, I believe.
Right.
Kind of like working at a basketball game or something, they still have to fill the form out, sign off on it and stuff like that. Yeah.
So we're gonna work on in the spring and summer then facilitating that list. And then towards, I don't know, a few weeks before school starts, we'll work on making contact with those families.
Do we feel pretty good about there being openings available on just Monday?
Well, what I foresee happening, and just because I put a few feelers out just to see, what I think is more likely is we're gonna get some high school kids and we're gonna get some paras, rather than a licensed childcare facility. I think we'll see that happen more so.
So when you mean like this, say a senior's looking for a part-time job and they would
Yes.
go to that family's home most likely and spend the day with those kids
Right.
for pay,
Right.
most likely.
And then once we, provided the contact information to
Yeah.
the family, then it would be
It's up to them, right, when they need it and when they don't. Because I would hate, the word that scares me on there is sometimes they need it. I would hate for the school to set up a daycare and those kids might show up once a month or maybe
Once every
here
3
and
months.
there, once every couple of weeks, and then we're stuck with it.
And that's kind of the feedback we had gotten from other schools who had tried that in the past, so that's why I was a little bit leery too. But again, if we'd have had 20 families come back who needed childcare, then I didn't want to not explore that
Right.
option either. But I think we could probably do it this way and just help make those contacts.
Curious, I shouldn't say concerned, curious, how many of them maybe don't want high school students coming to their homes or something like that? Or maybe there are other underlying issues there that
And there
it
may
becomes
be.
a problem that maybe we locate some high school kids or okay with maybe kids.
And that's one of the things I think that when we start really seeing who is interested in doing the childcare, that's one of the things we would ask. Are you comfortable going to their house? Or are you comfortable with them coming to your house? Because like you said, there may be some parents who want to drop their kids off at the sitter's house, and there may be some parents who want the sitter to come to them. And
I've been
so then we
listening
would have
on
to work-
YouTube.
We would have to make sure we were making connections with the pairing up the right.
here.
So I totally understand that and get what you're saying there.
Sorry I'm late. Job got in the way today. I wasn't even supposed to work today, so tells you tells you how it's going with the highway patrol lately. I've had to work 2 of my days off this week, so.
And then you get to see us.
Exactly.
And did anyone have any additional feedback on the calendar? anything they wanted us to look at there. And again, if you have feedback between now and February, you can just call, email, text, whatever. That's all.
All right, we'll move on to board candidate filing.
So we need to approve the notice of annual school election that is in your folder. And we do have 2 board openings, and we have 6 candidates who have filed, and those are listed there on the second page in your folder. And that's the order that they will appear on the ballot as well.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Lori. Further discussion? All in favor? Our hand. 7-0. All right, next regular meeting will be February 16th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session. 616-041. 1 personnel matters, 3 legal, personnel, 13 student 06.
We have a motion by Mark,
I'll second.
second by Dennis. Further discussion? Roll call, Sean? Yes for me. Ty?
Yes.
Naomi?
Yes.
Mark? Lori? Dennis? 7-0. 7:04. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, Dennis.
Both here.
Steve,